This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
To the highway in a brand new day. Gotta let it go. So fast to freedom. Dance tonight together. Here everyone is singing. 你看到我就怕，头皮发麻，我的手。
Welcome back to Open the Voice Gate for October 27th, 2020. We are members of the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. You can find us on the Voices of Wrestling feed or on the Open the Voice Gate feed on all podcast platforms and applications. You can follow us on Twitter at Open Voice Gate. If you'd like to donate to the show, just click the link in the show notes. It'll take you to redcircle.com. You click the red button there, and you can do a one-time or reoccurring donation. No obligation whatsoever, but they're certainly appreciated, and a special thank you to all of our previous donors. I'm one of your hosts. It's your old pal, Iron Mike Spears, joined alongside, as always, by my co-host, Case Slow. In Case, November is upon us. This is a month that's going to be the busiest and unprecedented in the history of the Dragon system, and I don't know if I'm emotionally ready for this, or psychologically or physically ready for this, but are you? I just want to do a heat check to see how you are as we are about to get into Gate of Destiny and then Kobe World 2 weeks later.
Well, the good news is that the month of November, especially here in America, is normally a pretty relaxed time, and this year should be no different. It's not like I have a ton of other stuff going on outside of the world of Dragongate, so I should be able to fully invest myself emotionally in this Japanese wrestling product that is about to ramp up to unparalleled speeds in the month of November. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good time. I think as we transition out of what have essentially been Road to shows for the past month and a half, and get into not only a Big 5 show on Gate of Destiny, but then a rescheduled Kobe World card 12 days later, I think it's really exciting. I think it's a time period where Dragongate can solidify themselves. Now, I know for me at Mike, it's already out of the question. I don't think any promotion has been better than Dragongate all year, but hopefully, in the next 3 to 4 weeks, Dragongate solidifies itself as the promotion of 2020 that started off hot, adapted to the empty arena setting, and then adapted to the limited capacity setting better than, to my knowledge, any wrestling company on Earth.
And just so everyone gets a sense of what we're talking about how busy things are going to be, it is not just that Gate of Destiny is on the 3rd. That just kicks things off, Case, because then on November 5th, Tokyo Korakuen Hall, November 7th, Kyoto KBS Hall, November 15th, World Kennen Hall for Kobe World, and then there's a little bit of a break, but then November 28th, Gate of Origin in Sendai. And then they have this insane run. So that's on the 28th of December. This is what their first 10 days of December look like. December 2nd, Korakuen Hall. December 4th, Hokkaido Triple Shot. Night 2, December 5th. Night 3, December 6th. And then Kobe Sambo Hall on December 8th. It is going to become fast and furious. If you're someone who has been kind of dipping your toe in the water, going you know what, Dragongate is an expensive service. I don't want to just invest in all this if they're only doing so many shows. November, December will be the 2 months that you'll get the most bang out of your buck than possible on this network.
I think we called August the best value possible when August became a month this year. During that time period, we were saying, the Dragongate Network, this is the best time to subscribe. It will never get busier than this. There were 8 live shows, and we were incorrect. It turns out November and December will be even busier. We'll have all of the coverage here, at least Gate of Destiny, Kobe World, obviously, and I will say that November Corkin, obviously written coverage there on voicesofwrestling.com. Maybe Mike will take that Corkin review. We will see. A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff coming up in my life. Well, I don't know if I'll be able to sit down and write out a review for that. But yes, I highly recommend people subscribing to the Dragongate Network now to get 2 full months of wall-to-wall content, really. It's an exciting time. And the good news is, it's all, for the most part, big shows and nothing like this Nara show that we will ever so quickly talk about before getting into the Gate of Destiny preview.
All right, okay, so for this, and we will talk about the show very briefly. I'm going to see how quickly we can do this. They had their Nara Centennial Hall, October 25th, Naruki Doi's 20th anniversary homecoming, attendance 414, completely sold out. It was their last show before Gate of Destiny. I'm going to run down the results real quick, Case, and then we can give our thoughts. This was speaking about Road 2 shows, this was the most Road 2 show you could have possible. Opener was Team Boku, Ryotsu Shimizu, and Punch Sanmaga going to a time limit draw with Dragongate Generation, Yamato and Jason Lee. Second match, singles match, KZ versus Yasushi Kanda. KZ won in 9 minutes and 8 seconds, the KZ time. Match 3, trios, Dragongate team of Keisuke Okuda, Kota Minoura, and Dragon Dia defeat the RED team of Kaito Ishida, Diamante, and Dia Inferno, when Inferno is disqualified for using a weapon on Dia in 13:49. Match 4, Genki Horiguchi and Susumu Yokosuka, the number 1 contenders for the Open the Twin Gate Tag Team Championships, defeat the Class of 2020 representatives Kento Kobune and Takedo Kamai with a Yokosuka cutter on Kamai in 13 minutes and 30 seconds. Semi-main event was the I don't even know if you call them the number 1 contender or they've got next. I'll say the trio that has next at Kobe World. They were currently in the Triangle Gate match at Kobe World against the winners of Gate of Destiny. That is the Toribon team of Dragon Kid, Shuji Kondo, and Kakatora. They lost to the Dragon Gate team of Benkei, Yosuke Samurai, and UT. UT had a flash pin that kind of came out of the Kagnoi. That was a little bit of a mess. And then they added themselves to Kobe World, so that's now a 3-way Triangle Gate match. Main event was the homecoming match for Naruki Doi, as he led the Torimon team of Ultimo Dragon, Naruki Doi, Masaru Yoshino, and Ryo Saito versus the RED team of Eita, BB Hulk, and Takashi Yoshida and Hyo. Hyo took the fall in 19 minutes and 19 seconds with a Bakatari sliding kick. Case, your thoughts on Nara?
There's one match on this show that is worth watching. Mike, do you have any inclination as to what match I think that is?
I have a sneaking suspicion that it might involve some youngsters.
Dangerous way of saying that, Mike, but indeed it is. Yes, the young boy tag, Kabuna and Kamai versus Horiguchi and Susumu. I really liked this because we are now starting to see the youngsters, the class of 2020, we've seen their foundation. We know what they can do on a surface level. They are now adding moves and dynamics to their repertoire, and it is now an even more exciting time to watch them. Mike, I don't know if you noticed Kabuna and Kamai busting out a tandem moonsault in this match. Standing moonsaults from both guys, that was new. And also, the spot that had me clapping in my living room. Genki Horiguchi had a backslide from heaven attempt on Takedo Kamai, and how does Kento Kobune save his partner? Well, he does that by deadlift German suplexing Horiguchi from that backslide position. So that match I went 3.5 stars on, best match on the show, and one that I would highly recommend because now we're seeing the rookies adding to their tool belt.
Yeah, I went 3.5 stars as well on it. Just was a really fun match, and they're almost like these two are coming up on their 1-year anniversary. They'll be rookies no longer. But like they're really starting to put it together. We're getting some double teams out of them. We're seeing more of their moveset. And they really kind of got their roles down. Kamei is tremendous as the babyface in peril. And then Kabune came in and just clocked Susumu Yokosuka as much as he could. The only other match that I thought was that I went above 3 stars for was the RED versus Dragon Gate Trios match where, I have to admit that my worries about the Dia Inferno's mask, that's a me thing. That's not anything about it. That's my own personal just load to bear for just thinking like that. I wouldn't want to wrestle in that mask. Maybe the Dia Inferno's totally okay with it. and that was a pretty fun match as well. Really not much else to talk about this show. A lot of people coasting on Naruki Doi's homecoming show. There's really not a lot there. When you first start off the show with a 15-minute time limit draw of having punched Tominaga, you know you're in for an interesting night. Not necessarily a good night, but an interesting night.
Yeah, these homecoming shows, I mean, the Yoshino one was no different. They're filmed for Dragongate Network, but they're not on the normal television loop. So these are, in essence, Dragongate house shows with maybe a big main event, although, like I said last week, I thought the main event booked here, while I understand it, was the least interesting match possible, and the 19 minutes leading to the Bakatare sliding kick on Yo backed up that theory that it was the least interesting main event possible. But yeah, there's just not a ton here, but, you know, I get it. There's a big show coming up. There are big shows coming up, and I will say briefly about Dai Inferno just before we move on. I think your fears about the gear and perhaps even the in-ring style to an extent are warranted. I just don't think we're getting Dai Inferno for that long, so I'm not necessarily concerned about it at this point. Now, if he's hanging around in May with the same gear, doing the same moves, then I think there's a greater discussion to be had. But I would be shocked if that mask is still a prevalent thing, even as we head into 2021. It would really surprise me if it was still sticking around.
No, I'm with you on that. It's something where it just kind of, like, with how compressed things are, it does not feel like a long-term thing. The only other thing of note was UT. I did not care for that match that much. That was most gentlemen's 3 semi-main event one could have. UT, though, gets like a special like participation award because every bit of those 3 stars was whenever UT was in the ring in that trios match. Like, UT versus Tsuji Kondo was a lot of fun in that semi-main event. Just the rest of the match, you know, I mean, it was a house show, as you said. But UT, if you're a UT fan like I am, you might like that semi-main event.
Well, think about it. If you're UT, these are the kind of spots that you really have to make the most of, because as we've seen, he's positioned to be the bottom-tier Dragongate guy. I mean, if you look at the Gaiora website right now, I believe, other than OG Shiba in Problem Dragon, UT is the lowest-ranked member of the Dragongate generation. So this is where he really has to shine. He has to work hard, and I thought he did that. Unfortunately, I just thought that match was kind of a mess, and UT could only save it so much. But Nara, to me, is skippable outside of the young boy tag, which, you know, I'll live with that, because again, it's not really a televised show. It just aired on the Dragongate Network, and because there are so much bigger fish to fry in the Dragongate landscape in the month of November, like we talked about at the start of the show, the hellacious month that it will be. It begins November 3rd, Gate of Destiny live on the Dragongate Network, and Mike and I will give you a full comprehensive preview of that now.
Yeah, we went 8 minutes on Nara, which is about probably 4 minutes too long, but I had to shout out UT there for a second. But so the Gate of Destiny, November 3rd, Edion Arena Osaka. It is a 5:30 Japanese time start, which means 3:30 a.m. on the East Coast, 8:30 Universal TC. I don't know if the TC is in Universal TC. I'm just guessing that it's not time zone. I mean, Universal time converted. I know it's 2:30 for UKs in the morning, and oh boy, this is going to be a meaty show. There'll be English commentary on it live as well. Big show. Already feels much bigger than the show we had in Tokyo in September case. Just off the bat, I'm looking at the show, and really outside of how that Triangle Gate match is, everything of consequence on this show has some stakes to it and something to sink my teeth into. I'm really excited for this. What's your thought about this card overall before we get into the match predictions?
I don't even hate the Triangle Gate match. I know I've been really critical of Team Boku, but we're coming off of the Yoshida Diamante Sakamoto title win at Dangerous Gate, which I thought way over-delivered. And I think if there's a trio that they can do more good work with, obviously Tominaga is not going to be much help, with all due respect, but I think Doi and Shimizu together in a more serious title match role can deliver the goods there. But like I said, like I've been saying, Gate of Destiny, if this was announced as the Kobe World card, maybe it would be lacking that oomph in the middle of the card, but I don't even know if I can say that. This is a loaded show, and it's 12 days before their biggest show of the year, which I don't know how they're going to restock and reload for Kobe World. It seems like a daunting process. I was stunned we got an Open the Dreamgate match on this show, because now I don't know what they're going to do the next time around with a Dreamgate match in only 12 days, like I said, at Kobe World, especially when the direction seems to not be Masato Yoshino retiring. And I know our prevailing thought for the longest time, or at least mine, was we'll do a Dreamgate match at Gate of Destiny, probably Eita versus Yoshino was the line of thinking, and then at Kobe World we'll do the 6-man or the 8-man or the 10-man Masato Yoshino farewell. It's mid-November. It's kind of a dead period for New Japan. Milano Collection AT can show up, say his goodbyes. It'll be this great moment, and it will be fitting of a Kobe World main event. But given the fallout from Dangerous Gate, the idea that Saito and Doi were kind of convincing Yoshino to extend his career a little bit. Now, we don't have a definitive answer. We don't have a definitive answer to my knowledge, but it seems like the direction is that Yoshino will wrestle into the early stages of 2021. So I have no idea what this company is doing for Kobe World, but I do know what they're doing for Gate of Destiny. I have to say, up and down the card, I am a big fan of really everything that's on this show. I'm looking forward to it. 2:30 is an awful start time, but I will be doing everything I can to watch this live because I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, it's not like November 3rd's a big day.
Luckily, my morning class on November 3rd, my Tuesday morning class was canceled next week to vote, but I have voted early, and I encourage you, if you're listening to this before November 3rd, to go and vote early. Please God, go and vote early. But yeah, this is just the appetizer of content viewing that I will have on the 3rd. But, you know, you wake up at 2:30 in the morning, you have fun for a few hours, you go back to bed, you wake up, and then you're consumed with existential dread for the next 12 hours or so. I mean, that's not a bad way to spend a Tuesday. It's not that all different from what I normally do.
I mean, existential dread. You know, you're talking about like probably a 20 match episode of Dark that's coming up, right? like that's what you're referring to in this, right? Like that's my Tuesday. That's my next Tuesday.
Mike is slowly watching the votes trickle into South Carolina as Will Hobbs enters the ring for the 18th match on AEW Dark Dream Slam next Tuesday. That is a tough life, Mike. I mean, look, we've all got our crosses to bear. That is certainly not one of them that I would like to have.
I mean, I feel like if there's any doubt that everyone knows I'm not a sane person, I feel like that the last few months have further cemented that. But let's get into this show. We started off with a pre-show match. We actually have our match 0 announced ahead of time. Kness, Konama, Ichikawa, Sachihoko Boy, and Ho-Ho Loon go up against Yosuke San Maria, Problem Dragon, UT, and Jimmy. So pretty much everyone just getting on the card here. You know, I mean, the first time I think Kness will have been in the ring for Dragongate since, I think, maybe July, I want to say. Well, was Kness in that, Kness wasn't in Memorial Gate, was he?
Kness, you know, it was funny. When his name popped up on the card, I was like, oh my god, it's great to see Kness again. And he has not been used, Mike, since the empty arena shows. He was used on May 22nd, King of Gate, in the, I was right, Kness was in the 12-minute long Gamma and Kness versus Konomama Ichikawa and Saichihoko Machine match. That was a tough one to stomach. That was a tough one to stomach. And then other than that, he worked one house show in February and the Dragon Scramble Battle Royal at the end of January for the Toryumon reunion show. But we have not seen Kness really since the second Korakuen Hall show in December of last year, December 18th, 2019, when it was Jason Lee, Yuki Yoshioka, Yasushi Kanda, and Kness defeating Mondai Ryu, Oji Shiba, Punch Tabadaga, and Sachihoko Boy. That is, those are some names in that 8-man tag. So it has been a long time since we've seen Kness. Obviously, he was someone even in the prime of his career that was dealing with injuries, and as he's aged, it's only gotten tougher for him. I'd like to see him mixed up with UT, though. That is kind of the hope coming out of this, is that we get 90 seconds of really fun UT Kness grappling.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an opener. It'll go 6 minutes, and really you're hoping for like UT versus Kness. Jimmy versus Kness. I'm afraid for Kness's fragile body with Jimmy though, to be honest. But it's a fun little appetizer. They're just teasing us a little bit before we get into the show itself. And I mean, I guess really the Dragon Gate Generation team's team that should win, even though this is like a match that does not matter whatsoever.
Now give Jimmy the pinfall. Jimmy deserves it. He's been putting in work in the dojo. He got his body together. Have him pin Ichikawa. That'd be nice.
And then we have the opener, and boy, this opener really puts some things in 2020 front and center. Dragon Gate Generation versus RED. Dragon Gate Generation, Benkei, Strong Machine J, Dragon Dia, the most recent Triangle Gate champions, versus the REDT team of BB Hulk, Hyo, and Dia Inferno. Boy, it only really struck me here that that's the former champion team, and it's the first time we'll see a Strong Machine J since dropping the belts.
Not only is it the former champion team, a year ago at this point, Benkei was headlining this show against Masato Yoshino in a match of the year contender, so it is a long, strange trip for Benkei down the card. I've really struggled this year, wondering if he's maybe being underutilized and underpushed, because at the same time, he was an Open the Triangle Gate champion, so I think there's still a bit of a debate there, and now he's in the opening match on this show. Now, I'm all for it, because much like we talked about at Dangerous Gate, when Ishida versus Maria opened the show, this match has some life to it. I mean, this is Benkei in an opener, it's BB Hulk in an opener, and Hulk's not a guy, even at his advanced age, that opens shows or is really working on the front half of shows all that often, and you've got the Dragon Dia versus Dia Inferno aspect of things here. Mike, I know you've been concerned about the ring gear that Inferno has been wearing, but we've seen him on TV a few times now. How have you felt about his in-ring performances?
I like the character, mainly because Inferno does such a different ring style than anyone else in the company. It comes across more brutal in a company where usually the most brutal things you have are battles of rookies and maybe trying to shrug off a couple of Jumbo no Kachi. So him doing backstabbers and things like this actually comes across pretty fresh in a way, I want to say. The biting of Dia don't really have it's really kind of gimmicky, but the rest of his ring stuff, I like Inferno as a character. I feel like that I think that he has a very distinct ring style that I think is something that is a new spice being brought in, and I think that it'll be interesting seeing how much they let Inferno really face off against Strong Machine J, given Strong Machine J's shoulders issues. I don't know if he's someone that would want to be taking a lot of backstabbers right now.
It's funny that you mentioned that move specifically, because I did have that in my notes on the Nara show, was Dia Inferno hit a backstabber on, I believe it was Kota Minoura, and I thought, my God, that looks good. That is the exact type of move that this character needed in his arsenal, on top of the biting and the other brutality that I think comes across well. I would expect Inferno to pin either Dia or Strong Machine J here. I think it's probably a little bit more noteworthy if he pins Strong Machine J. Is that fair to say? Just because we haven't seen Strong Machine J in a month. He hasn't wrestled since the 21st of September. And you just never know with him and his shoulder and his body how he's going to hold up. But he does still seem to be protected. So if Inferno pins him, it kind of seems like a big deal.
Yeah, if RED wins, it's going to be Inferno on one of them. I think it's going to be a DQ. I think he's going to attack Dia again or do an unmask. That seems to be really what they're building up to there. And then maybe if they're going to really just blow this thing off at Kobe World, Dia goes you're going after my mask. Well, I want to see who you actually are. Who are you, Inferno? Let's do this for our masks at Kobe World. I can see that happening, coming out of another DQ and a mask rip.
Do you think that would be at all deflating, a match of those stakes, mask versus mask, to do it on a 12-day build? I mean, I guess they've had a little bit longer, but with those stipulations set in place, if they were going to go in that direction, would you want it to breathe a little bit more?
I mean, ideally I would, but it does seem like this is an accelerated time frame. Maybe not. Maybe the DQ and the mask grip happens at Kobe World and it sets up something for Final Gate. So then they have another 2 months to build it up. But it does feel like that. I do not think that Dia Inferno is going to be masked going into 2021.
I would agree with that. It would be interesting to see them do that at Final Gate, given the Eita versus Dragon Kid hair versus mask match a few years ago. Maybe Fukuoka's secretly a lucha town and we just don't know it. But Yeah, I will go with the clean finish here. I'm going to say Inferno is going to pin either Daya or Strong Machine J, but I buy your argument that it could end in a DQ, but either way, I think RED is coming out victorious here.
Yeah. It's something where, like, this is a match where you just, like, look at it. It's like you have ways to go to, and you can't really select which one, because I can just as easily see the scenario you're presenting as well. This was one that I've already written down all my predictions so I don't forget them, and this was the one that I left blank for last. I was like, oh, wait, they'll probably do a DQ here. So, and then we have match 2, which is an 8-man tag. The Torimon Generation team of Dragon Kid, Ryo Saito, Shuji Kondo, Kagatora go against the unaffiliated team of Masaki Mochizuki, Don Fuji, Gamma, and finally it is time. The Bodyguard will be at Gate of Destiny in Osaka. In case, I have no idea what kind of match this could be. It could be a really, like, playing up Dragon Kid versus Bodyguard, as Ultima's like, oh yeah, I'm bringing in Bodyguard, he's your problem. Or it could end up being like, all right, he gets like 2 minutes of offense and gets the pinfall. Like, that's how I kind of see this thing going.
Here's the thing with this match. I will say I like it on paper. I'm glad they're not doing Bodyguard versus Dragon Kid in a singles match.
Oh God, no.
Bodyguard and Shuji Kondo have never been in the ring with one another. So
really?
I like that pairing a lot. I assumed they had numerous, at least multi-man matches together, but nothing comes up on the cage match search for Bodyguard and Shuji Kondo. So I'm looking forward to that chemistry. The danger of this match is that it has a real chance of overstaying its welcome. This is something that if you give it 6 to 8 minutes, I'll be generous and say Masaki Mochizuki does the heavy lifting and you give this match 10 minutes. Fine, that's cool. It's match number 2, get in, get out. If we start doing the extended Bodyguard Dragon Kid talk segment, look, maybe I shouldn't knock it because I don't speak the language, so it's obviously not for me. But if we're doing a longer match with a promo and this and that, I'm going to turn on this really quickly because it has a chance, given the 8 guys involved, and I'll throw Saito in on that list just because while he's going to be doing comedy in this match, I think it might be worthwhile. This could be a really fun 8-man. It just needs to be timed properly.
Yeah, and you'd think that with matches that are pretty much all going to get a level of time, you can't really just have this thing go 15 minutes. Like, this needs to be like a 9-minute thing because you already have 4 title matches, a singles match, and you know in the next match it's going to get a lot of time as well, that this can't be in the ring for a quarter of an hour. Like, you can't have like a back and forth microphone thing. This thing has to, I think it'll be very jokey, but I feel like that you can't just let it be joke, and go on forever. Like, remember like the Ryo Saito versus Stalker Chikawa match at Kobe World 2 years ago and how long that was?
Yes.
It can't be like that.
Yes, I do, Mike. That was a very long match. I just to reiterate, for those that have maybe expressed some concerns, maybe don't follow Dragongate as intricately, and see Bodyguard on this card, Mike, can you ease their worries at all that he would become a full-time figure in this promotion?
Well, you know who Dragon Kid faced off at a Gate Destiny in years past? We talked about him last week, actually. Kenzo Suzuki. He never stuck around. Dragon Gate likes bringing in freelancers and people that might go across other fan bases for big shows. They would bring in Yoshiaki Fujiwara just to put people in the seats because they know that can sell extra tickets outside the fan base.
Just to bother me. They brought in Fujiwara just to bother me.
Yeah. Unless suddenly we see that on the Corkin on November 5th, we see Bodyguard in the main event, there is no reason to think that this guy's sticking around. There's no reason in the world.
He's also someone that has worked Dragongate in the past, and when he does, he does one-offs and then goes back along his merry way, and that's fine. I have no issue with that. So I'm intrigued by this match. Again, it's kind of one of those, even though it's a match too, it's kind of a high ceiling, low floor match where I really don't know what I'm going to get. But if it's, Mochizuki and Kagatora going back and forth and Kondo and Bodyguard bashing bodies against one another and, Fuji in the mix as well, there's a lot to like in this match. So We'll see how it is. I'm very worried that this is going to become a prolonged segment when it doesn't need to be, especially given matches 3, 4, and 5, perhaps, that I think should get a lot of time.
And I think this is the one match that I would not even put odds on this one. This is the one that is the real sucker bet that you add on into your parlay to boost it and get another one on your parlay. Mochizuki, Gamma, Fuji, and Bodyguard are going to win. Like, I can't see a world where Toryumon Generation... I guess Gamma could pick up the loss there because you have Kid, Kondo, and Kagatora. But I just really think that this is something that, like, Mochizuki eventually is going to kick off someone's head, and that's it. We're out of here.
I actually think the result of this match is a little interesting because on one side, you have Bodyguard, the special guest, but on the other, it's Dragon Kid, Shuji Kondo, and Kagatora who are already in the Dragongate match at Kobe World. Now, my prevailing thought is that Bodyguard will pin Ryo Saito and we'll wash our hands with this match.
Yeah.
But there is a possibility that it would be weird if Dragon Kid pinned Bodyguard, but I'd be okay with that. But yeah, there's a chance that Gamma eats some Shuji Kondo suplex and the Dragongate contenders move on because of that. So the result is weirdly in doubt here for a low-stakes match number 2.
You see, I see the fact that the challenge team lost in Nara makes me think that, okay, they can take a loss here, and that could be a part of the storyline going into Kobe World.
Oh, yeah, well, and Saito's there to take the loss, and he means nothing to that Dragongate team. So I won't react strongly to it if the incoming challengers lose, because I don't think it means anything in regards to their title contention.
Right, yeah. And then we get into match 3. It is a trios match of the Toryumon Generation team of Ultimo Dragon, Masato Yoshino, and Yasushi Kondo versus the class of 2020, Kento Kabune, Takedo Kamei, and Madoka Kakuta. I'm going to be real interested to see how willing Ultimo is to deal with the kids this time, because it's just, as we've seen in the past, Ultimo's like, y'all handle these kids. They yell a lot and they chop really hard. I'm over this stuff. But at the same time, you do see like the little glint in his eye that Ultimo might decide to stretch these kids.
Give me the result. I need the Mike Spears prediction off the bat, I think, before we can even dive deeper. Are we getting Ultimo steamrolling these rookies? Is Yoshino making one of them tap? Or are the youngsters pinning Yasushi Kondo?
I mean, really, those are the two results. You get a flash pin on Kondo because neither Yoshino or Dragon probably will take a loss here. Or the kids get tied into knots. And I think the kids get tied into knots.
I think they're pinning Kondo. I think this is nice.
Okay.
I think, look, I can't overemphasize enough the fact that on one of Masato Yoshino's final big shows, whether he's retiring at Kobe World, which I don't think he's doing, retiring at Final Gate, which he might do, or extending his stay through Dead or Alive or Kobe World of next year, assuming it takes place in July. The fact is, this is one of Masato Yoshino's final shows, final big shows, and he's wrestling guys with less than a year experience in their career. This is a huge match. I think it's a huge seal of approval for Kabune, Kamai, and Kakuta, but I just think it's a huge match in general, and given the fact that we just need bodies on this Kobe World card, we need guys in the mix. I will go back to the theory that I proposed about a month ago now, where Kabune, Kamai, and Kakuta, after picking up a few flash pins at Korakuen Hall and at Fukuoka at the start of October, I think they're getting in that Dragongate match at Kobe World, and I think they're doing it by pinning Yasushi Kondo in this match. I'm pumped for this. I can't believe Yoshino's involved. I think he's going to beat up on them. I think Ultimo's finally going to snap and beat up on them. Kondo's someone who I think can be kind of sneaky, stiff, and devilish. I think he can lay the pain if he needs to, but I think the rookies are coming out of this ahead. I don't know about you. I've got real Kento Kabune vibes here. I think he is in line for a big performance, because you think about what we've been talking about with the rookies lately. Madoka Kakuta was scoring pinfalls. He was the guy that we were looking at. Takedo Kamai, always consistent, very flashy, adding a lot of new moves to his arsenal. Kabune, in the rookie power rankings, needs to get back to the top of the leaderboard, and I think he's going to use this match to do it. I am so excited for this. If this card wasn't loaded, if this was a normal, even a normal Big 5 show, this might be my most anticipated match, but there is just so much other good stuff on the card. But still, do not sleep on this match. It might not be spreadsheet worthy 4 stars or higher, but this is going to be really, really good.
And this is a match that 5 years from now, you start the pre-match music videos with like Kabune and Kame and Kakuta with a match like this. Like this is going to be like a highlight that's going to be in their reels for the rest of their career. So this is a big performance. This is a big opportunity for them, especially considering Kabune was only one of these three that was on the Dangerous Gate show and was on a pre-show match. So it's going to be it's a big platform for these guys, and especially with Kabune and Kame coming up on the anniversary in December, and then Madoka Kakuta, who's just now crossed 6 months. So this is a big opportunity for these guys. And then speaking about big matches, we have a special singles match coming up after that. It is the former Twingate team. The former seemed like they were almost like sworn partners. That after Dangerous Gate and after the cage match where Kai turned on the Dragongate army and joined RED, Yamato finally gets his hands on him in this singles match. And we've talked before about how Yamato and Kai and how Tri Vanguard in a lot of ways was this thing that sometimes there was good chemistry with these teams together, sometimes there wasn't. But since Kai has turned heel, this has turned into one of the more red-hot feuds in the company. I'm really looking forward to this match.
Yeah, the Yama-Kai team always was a little bit confusing to me because I recognize that more often than not when the situation called for it, those guys would deliver and they would have good matches, but there was something about those two together, and I got over my Kai hatred, the fact that he was in Dragongate in the first place. I got over that by the time they were teaming. I was okay with him in the company, but there was something about that team, I just wasn't excited to watch them. I would see their match on paper, and I just wasn't into it at all. But now that they're apart, now that Kai has found his calling, you think about this guy that debuted in All Japan as a junior heavyweight, that went to Wrestle 1 and flopped there, and then somehow in the post-Shima Dragongate found himself working opening tag matches in Tokyo with Hiroshi Yamato, and his calling is that he's now a top-line heel in the Dragongate RED unit. It is insane to think that this is what Kai's career has been building towards, but he is so good in this role that I have very high expectations for this match, because not only is Kai great, but Mike, I'm going to throw some qualifiers at you here to show you how rare a non-title, non-King of Gate televised Yamato singles match is. There's 3 qualifiers there: non-title, non-King of Gate, and televised. But when we're talking about Yamato singles matches with those things under the qualifications, he had the singles match with Ryotsu Shimizu on October 4th of this year, not so long ago. Before that, you turn back the clock to 2019, and it is the Kaito Ishida singles match in Kobe Sambo Hall on August 17th of last year. Before that, to find a match that was a Yamato singles match, not for a title, not on King of Gate, and that aired on TV, you have to go back to August 31st, 2014, when he wrestled Akira Tozawa in Hakata Star Lanes. So this is a big match. Yamato does not get put in matches, in feuds, in programs where there is a singles match at stake without a title typically. So I don't know about you. I got a feeling this is not the last time we're going to see Yamato versus Kai in a singles match in the immediate future, but the fact that it's happening at all is a huge deal with huge stakes.
Yeah, you see, I'm on a coin flip about this match, because I think that this could either be the thing that propels Yamato into a Dreamgate challenge at Kobe World, real safe, easy main event there. Then you could have Yamato versus either Eita or KZ, and I feel like that's one they could feel comfortable about in 2 weeks' notice, getting people in the building if they weren't already going to be there in the first place. Or we could prolong this thing, and that could be really, really interesting. We've talked before about how we miss Yamato's specialty match, the no ropes match, and this is a feud that I feel like needs something like that. So this is a real coin flip match to me. I do think that this is in the special singles match slot, which usually when those matches happens, they are bangers and they are able to challenge the title matches for match of the night. It's just like, it matters what you want to do with Yamato. Kai's found his role, as you talked about. He's great as the number 2 in RED, something that RED desperately needed for a long time. But I think the question here is, what is your immediate plans with Yamato? And I think with this packed schedule and with the biggest show of the year now, 12 days after this show, that's a question that's worth pondering of, what are you going to be doing with Yamato at Kobe World?
Well, I think you figured it out. I think Yamato, for as much as we might want a no ropes match or even the continuation of this, I don't think that's out of the question. Honestly, the idea of and I will really pontificate into the future here, the idea of a Yamato versus Kai match headlining Champion Gate in Osaka next year would not surprise me at all. But like we said earlier, we need bodies on this Kobe World show. We need something that feels appropriate for the level of Kobe World. And Yamato versus Eita is a match that has really, in essence, only happened twice with an adult, with a fully formed Eita. King of Gate 2017, where Yamato beat him in Korakuen Hall, and then this year's King of Gate semifinals, where Eita beat Yamato. So there's
the match of the tournament. That was the best match of the tournament.
Exactly.
Too.
So there's a built-in, perhaps, rematch or rubber match there with Eita and Yamato. While it might not be the most exciting pick, any match with Yamato is worthy of headlining Kobe World. And I think in an unstable year, in an unusual year, it's probably best to land the plane in the safest possible way. And that way is Eita versus Yamato at Kobe World. So I think Yamato's winning this match. Who knows, Mike? There's a Korakuen Hall show 2 days after the show. Maybe Kai wins here, and Yamato challenges him to a no-rope match at Korakuen Hall, and then at the post-show Korakuen Hall, just dealings the promo battle, we get Yamato versus Eita announced for World. Who knows? That's a possibility, but I think
that's spicy. I like it.
I like that
lot.
too. Now that I say it, hey, look, Genki Horiguchi, give me the pencil. But I think you have figured it out. I think we're heading towards Yamato versus Eita World, and given the fact that it was the King of Gate semifinal this year, I think it would make sense.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that I feel like a lot more of these matches are not in question now because of the quick turnaround. And this is one where you could always go like, oh, that's the biggest singles match that they could do in the company if it's not Yamato versus Masato Yoshino in a retirement match, you know? Like that's the match to make in 12 days.
Yeah, it's maybe not the most exciting. I know I've been critical of Yamato in the main event scene, but it's been he lost the title in 2017, and has he wrestled a Dreamgate match since? I gotta quickly look that up. Yeah, I mean, it's weird just because he's just a constant force on these cards, but he lost the Dreamgate belt in in September of 2017. He was Ben K's first challenger in August of last year.
That's right. Yeah, that was his last title match.
But that's it. So despite the fact that he's been a Twin Gate champion seemingly for forever, because we talked a lot before the Liam Minoru reign about, even though the Twin Gate matches were still delivering at a high level, how stagnant that division felt. A lot of that was because Yamato and Kai or Yamato and BB Hulk were holding those titles. So it seems like Yamato hasn't gone away, but in reality he's been away from the title picture for a little bit. So I think that's the direction we're heading. I love my fantasy booking idea of Kai winning here, the no-rope match at Korakuen Hall, and then Yamato versus Eita at Kobe World. And if that is announced, boy, there is a lot to unpack there in the possible results of it. But all I know is that I'm really excited for Yamato versus Kai right now. I think this is going to be it's going to be a storyline-heavy match. This is one of those, if you're not into Dragongate, if you're bothered by the poor officiating and the salt attacks and the box attacks, this is not the match for you. But I'm invested, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I feel like even with those, this would be really weird if this was just a straight-up sport wrestling match. That's not what this feud is. You get a lot of twists and turns, and you get and we've had more than a lot of twists and turns for the next match, the Open the Brave Gate Championship match. It is a rematch from the Rainbow Gate Empty Arena shows. It is the feud of the year in pro wrestling. It is Kaito Ishida on day 365 of his title reign, going up against his rival in a rematch. He right now is 1-0 against Okuda, Keisuke Okuda, in Brave Gate matches. It all comes ahead in Kaito Ishida's hometown of Osaka, in the same arena that he won this title almost 1 full year ago. In case, it all comes to this. And I think that this is something that will go down in the books as a big point in both of these guys' career and how this story has been told. But when it comes down to it, Case, does Kaito Ishida enter his second year of a title reign? Is he going to get across this? Because we had a leap day this year, so 366 days. Is he going to make it to 1 full year as Brave Gate champion?
Over the past year, we saw Ishida win the belt from Susumu Yokosuka. He defended it against Jason Lee, Genki Horiguchi, Keisuke Okuda, and Yosuke Santa Maria. And Mike, Kaito Ishida will pick up another defense of the Open the Brave Gate belt over Keisuke Okuda in this match. We've talked about this feud since it really ignited on the March 22nd Empty Arena show, which is up for free in its entirety on the Dragongate YouTube channel. That's when this feud kicked off, and ever since then, we've talked about how this is a good helmet DVD-worthy set. If there was ever going to be the return of the DVD, you would have to chronicle Keisuke Okuda versus Kaito Ishida, because it has been a prolonged, old-school story wrestling feud in a way that is just so absent from the industry as a whole right now. And despite the weirdness of Ishida only defending the belt 4 times over the past year, I think he holds on to the belt. The counter is, and Mike, well, let me ask you this first. What do you think?
We are very divergent on this show. I think Okuda wins the belt here.
If Okuda wins the belt, bravo. That is a chef's kiss in a story well told. But I think Keisuke Okuda's a guy who you have to be really careful with, because I think he is ultimately, despite the fact that he comes across entirely different than this person from an in-ring persona, from his presentation, from the way he works, I think Okuda's kind of built like an El Generico, where it's really more about the chase for him. It's about that climb, and once he's on the top of the mountain, it's a little bit uncomfortable, and you kind of want to see him get knocked back down so he can climb up. And I do think that while it would be great if Okuda would win, I think Kaito Ishida's retaining, because you not only have the idea of, let's say he retains past Kobe World at this point, there's a Dragongate defense there, there is possibly one of the young boys present that could challenge for a singles title, or Mike, the direction that I think they're going, I think we're getting Kaito Ishida versus Shun Skywalker.
And that's like the interesting thing about this, because as I was watching Nara during the match that had Daya and Inferno, the RED versus Dragongate Army match, these two, Ishida and Daya, have tremendous chemistry, and I really want to see what comes between these two guys. Like, there is a lot of more rope left. Like, there's a lot of stuff to do, and I think the thing is, if Okuda wins, like, it can't be a long reign, you know? Like, just because, as you said, like, he is someone where you do have to kind of be a little bit careful of how you book Okuda, but there's a lot more interesting defenses possible with Ishida that he hasn't even got into yet.
It's weird because Keisuke Okuda's promoted like this MMA badass, and typically the booking there is that you want him to run over everyone, and that makes sense. But Okuda is that weird case scenario where you want him to struggle. Like, he's more entertaining when he's losing rather than winning, and I think that is partially just the fact that he was transported into this Dragongate universe, where that sort of character is just not a very common thing. I think if this was New Japan or All Japan, you would want Okuda just murdering people. But for some reason in Dragongate, it's much more entertaining to watch Okuda lose. And just
snap.
Yeah, I think it's there, because I don't think a heel turn is coming. I mean, there's an argument to be made about the Ben K Keisuke Okuda tag team that seems like it's been hinted at a few times now. They're real life best friends. Okuda's in the company because of Ben K. That is, there are legs there, and Ben K is obviously not doing a ton right now, so it wouldn't shock me if at some point in the near future they pivot to that direction. But I am personally more entertained by Okuda losing and Ishida continuing this dominant reign where really I think the only valid comparison at this point, and he's not on that level, and I don't think he can get on that level unless he really turns the corner, and maybe we're throwing 5 snowflakes at this match. But this is the best Bravegate feud since Pac versus Ricochet in 2011, and this is the best Bravegate run I've seen since Pac's 2010-2011 record-setting reign.
Yeah, this is easily one of the top 3 Bravegate reigns in Dragongate history right now, as is. And the question is if it can be better than this. And I think that's what we're posing. Is like, do they see this is something special, this is the right thing, and then after this, we can make this guy into a top-line player after he has, like, this forever reign, There's a lot of interesting ways to go with this match, and that's why I find this card so interesting, because we've been pretty divergent, I think, on basically every single result except for the opener so far. But there's a lot of ways they can go about this show, and I think that's what makes this a little bit more intriguing than maybe how I felt about Dangerous Gate.
Yeah, well, like you mentioned earlier, I agree. I think the future of this company, at least from an entertainment standpoint, is Kaito Ishida and his Dragon Dia. Now, whether or not Dia can be a headlining superstar, I don't know about you, I have no feel for that. I'd like to think he can be, but I really don't know. But I also don't doubt that Kaito Ishida one day will be top billing on a Kobe World Hall show. So I think this is exactly it. I think this is the reign where we saw Ishida bursting at the seams last year when he won the title. It was the elevation that we thought, man, this is great. Kaito Ishida's finally getting his due. And in the past year, we've gone, oh, this is only the start of it. Like, oh my god, this guy's got so much left in the tank. And I think similar to Pac's reign, where Pac held the belt all of 2011 through November when Ricochet finally beat him. And then what does Pac do in March of 2012, right after losing the belt? Well, he challenges Shima for the Open the Dreamgate belt, gave Shima arguably his best match of that entire almost 2-year reign. And then from there, Pac became had the Open the Dragongate championship once more before signing with WWE. Now, I hope to God that that's not on Ishida's radar, that he's not going to New York anytime soon. If something happens, my God, I will be crushed. But I do think had Pac stuck around in 2012, 2013, he might have been the one to end Shima's title run, or at the very least, I think the Open the Dreamgate run that Ricochet got in early 2014 would have gone to Pac. And I think Kaito Ishida is following a very similar trajectory, and I think in order to guarantee that future for him, he needs to beat Keisuke Okuda here. It'll be a heartbreaking result if that happens, but I think it is a better story to be told.
Yeah, and there's no one whose ceiling I am as certain of in this company from the youngest generation of Dragongate than I am Kaito Ishida. Kaito Ishida is the heel manager, or the heel main eventer, pardon me, that everyone wants when they see Eita. I think that he is the capital G, capital U, capital Y guy now, and that's all because of this title run. And I don't know if, and I think he's already ready to take the next step. It's just, do they think it's time, or are they thinking like, we can make this into truly a trademark title run here, that whenever people are going to look back at Kaito Ishida 20 years from now, we're like, and it all started when he became Bravegate champion. So it's how long you want to make this here. No matter what, this title run has been a home run and just hit it out of the park. I'm just kind of interested in seeing what Okuda would be as champion, and especially with how these other title matches go. This is the one result I really have in doubt. So that's why I think that Okuda could win this match.
I think
Ishida's ready now.
That's entirely
basically
fair. I think that is entirely fair. It really does feel like a 50-50 probability. And if you disagree with either me or Mike, I mean, this is the type of engagement I want at Open Voice Gate. Let us know what you think of Ishida versus Okuda here and who's coming out on top. Not to shamelessly plug the social media, but I'm genuinely curious because this seems like one where it's really up for debate as to who people not only want to win, but who people think is going to win. And I would like to think it's going to be Kaito Ishida.
And this is how stoked I'm about this feud. This is the one Dragongate feud over like the last decade where I most wanted to make a music video for. Boot up premiere, not for work, but for fun. Because this is like the one feud that you could do a My Way video to.
Oh,
and I think
God.
it'd be exceptional.
We ran out of time, Mike. That's something we should have been putting in motion. My God, I'd like to see the My Way video for Kaito Ishida versus Keisuke Okuda.
Instead, I'll have like a 3,000 word article up on the website.
Coming soon to voiceofwrestling.com.
Yeah, a slight plug there. And then we get into the Twin Gate Championship match. It is the Dragongate Generation team of Kota Minoru and Jason Lee defending against the Toryumon Generation team and the Kyushu Pro Tag Team Champions, Susumu Yokosuka and Kiki Horiguchi. This is we were worried about them before at Dangerous Gate, but now we kind of see that like this is, as we've been saying, this is Jason Lee's mountaintop, and this is the start of something for Kota Minoru. Do you think that this ends here? Or do you think that they're going to go through at least to Kobe World as champions?
I really hope they retain. And that's not necessarily a shot at Yokosuka and Horiguchi. I just really am enjoying the idea of the Minoru Lee title run. So I hope they continue here. My only reservation is that if they retain the belts, I don't know who's in line next. And I would like to be able to piece that together a little bit, where I can make the argument that Ishida retains because maybe it's Shun Skywalker, maybe it's Dragon Daya. I can make the argument that Eita retains because maybe it's Yamato, maybe it's Ben-K, maybe it's whoever, maybe it's Masato Yoshino. I don't have a feel for the immediate Twin Gate challengers if they win. Do you, by any chance, have one?
I'll throw one out there.
Okay.
Gamma Fuji.
Ugh, yeah.
Or Mochi Gamma. Mochi Gamma. There you go.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, it's weird that I'm not excited about a Masaki Mochizuki match. I probably should be, but that's fair. I think they retain simply off the notion that I want them to retain, because for as much as I love Yokosuka and Horiguchi, I don't love them as a tag team.
Yeah, this is like the wild thing. So these are two guys that have been so like linked with each other throughout their careers. I mean, members of M2K, members of Do Fixer, members of Real Hazard. I can keep on going
members
on
of the
and
Jimmies.
on. Members of the Jimmies, most notably. These are two guys like this, but they're known for their other tag team partners more so than each other. Genki Horiguchi is known for his teaming with Ryo Saito and Marahaya Sapa. Susumu Yokosuka, just go down the line. First Yasushi Kanda, then Kness, then Kagatora. These were two guys that although they were often the same unit and were part of Triangle Gate teams together, never really have been a Twin Gate team, just a straight tag, which is interesting. But because of that, you would think that these two guys would be a fully fleshed out team now, and it still really feels like that these are two guys who are teaming with each other because they started winning together, not because they're an actual team.
Yeah, it's just, they don't have the chemistry that I would want from even a Horiguchi or a Saito in previous years, or a Susumu and a Kagatora in previous years. They feel thrown together. And that's not necessarily an insult because they're, two of the best 100 wrestlers to ever live, so they can figure it out. But it's maybe my least favorite pairing of a tag team of two guys that I typically really like.
And that's entirely fair. But I have pretty high hopes for this match. I think that Minoru and Lee have been a linchpin on the big shows. I mean, they managed to have a really fun match just at Dangerous Gate, and then winning the belts at Memorial Gate. They pretty much willed the husk of BB Hulk into a great match there. So, this is something that I wouldn't put that this is the sneaky sleeper of the night, because it's kind of impossible to have one when we just talked about the feud of the year blowing up and just the match previous. But this is a strong match on the card, and I really hope that they give these guys like 15 and 20 minutes, because I feel like that at the very least we talk about how this the Susumu and Horiguchi team feel thrown together, that's not a slight against them. I still think like that this is a very high floor match.
And ultimately, it's Genki Horiguchi in a title match, which means the backslide from heaven is in play. And that is the most dramatic thing in wrestling. 17 years after its debut, I still bite on every single backslide near fall, and that alone will make this match worthwhile.
As a quick sidebar, one of my favorite college football writers and podcasters is Richard Johnson. And he always says you have to establish the run. It's Friday, so make sure you establish the run. It's a Genki Horiguchi title match, so you've got to establish the backslide from heaven.
I would love, and he's probably too old now. It would have happened after King of Gate 2012, which I don't know if you've heard, Mike, but Genki Horiguchi did win King of Gate that year. The idea of, we've seen the dummy videos of BB Hulk practicing the Phoenix Splash with Hayabusa looking on. We saw Yuji Nagata taking limbo lessons to avoid the Rainmaker during the Okada-Nagata G1 match in 2015. I would love to get the training video of perfect backslide from heaven execution and Horiguchi running it on dummies and on trainees and on whatever else he can get his hands on. I don't know at this point in his career if there would ever be a match big enough to justify that sort of video, but I would really love to see it. This is the kind of stuff, you put me in charge. Look, we're talking about digital content here, and we're talking about
shoulder content, baby.
We're talking about Genki Horiguchi training videos. That is what I want.
And on the other side of it, you could have Minoru and Lee like trying to find ways to get out of backslides, like them trying to flip over, like things like this. This goes both ways, Case. This is the shoulder content that people crave.
Mike, I love it. I love it. This is the kind of stuff we can bring to the table.
Yeah. Talking about bringing stuff to the table, or maybe not bringing stuff to the table. Semi-main event. Open the Triangle Gate Championship match. If Team Boku loses, the Ryotsu Shimizu character is discontinued. It is the Goon Squad, the RED champion team of Takashi Yoshida, Diamante, and Kazuma Sakamoto versus Team Boku of Naruki Doi, Ryotsu Shimizu, and Punch Tominaga. And this is like my one big thing about this card. I feel like that I know who's involved here, and I know that they don't ever really put the Brave Gate this high, but the Brave Gate should be this is my main event of this show, and this should be the first title match.
I completely agree with that, and I think it also hurts that, I don't know about you, but I think this is the most obvious result of the night. I think Team Boku is winning this match, and I'll take it a step farther. I think Team Boku's winning, and then I think they're losing the belts at Kobe World.
I'm going to pull Lee Corso. Not so fast, my friend.
Oh, okay.
I think RED's winning.
Really?
And let me lay out the reason why. 2 reasons why. 1, Ryotsu Shimizu is never going to be a long-term character. Like, you just don't do that. Like, going back to a rookie gimmick that always has, like, a lifespan, basically. And, now they've done a full TV loop of him as Ryotsu Shimizu. Maybe it's time to see him like this. Like, you don't drop Team Boku, but he just goes by his shoot name or he just becomes Shimizu. Like, you have that. And number 2, do you really, like, Naruki Doi on a 12-day turnaround, you really want to put him into a 3-way or 4-way Triangle Gate match when you might need him to sell tickets?
Yeah, if he's in a title match, I think that is a fitting position for him. I mean, I don't think... the other thing that was floating in the back of my mind when we talked about the Twin Gate was, well, what if they did Speed Muscle? Yeah, versus Minoru and Lee, but I don't get the sense that that's happening. So at that point, you've got to put Doi in a match that matters, and you could say, well, it's the Triangle Gate match, but, well, it's the Triangle Gate match. There's a title attached to it, so that match matters, and I think that's what he's heading into Kobe World defending.
I think that then, just by mentioning it, you've talked me into this result more. I think he loses, and then we get Speed Muscle versus Minoru and Lee at Kobe World. I think that that's a very thing, especially since it seems that the retirement is not on offer here. I think that's what you do. Because that way, you already have a Team Toryumon team in that 3-way match. So you would have an RED team, a Team Toryumon team, and then you would have a Dragongate Army team. There's 3 teams right there. If you want to throw in the unaffiliated rookies team there's your 4-way when you have 1 representative of each faction.
Yeah, that's a good argument. Damn, that's a good argument. But I do think, I mean, yes, there's a Toryumon team in there, but it's also Team Boku. It kind of exists on its own island. I don't think it would be insane for Doi to at some point be attempting a Bakatare on Kagatora simply in the confines of that Triangle Gate match where Doi is repping Team Boku.
I mean, that's entirely fair. This is the coin flipped edition of Gate Destiny, where Case and I are doing coin flips here. The match itself, I mean, listen, we have Takashi Yoshida and Punch Tominaga in a match on a semi-main event. We could hope, dear God, the other four carry their weight here, but we're not operating here with like new hazard Takashi Yoshida, you know? Like this match could get pretty sleazy, could get kind of brawly, and one can hope that we get to see more of the team that we saw at Dangerous Gate of RAD here, because this is going to be a match that's going to need certain things for it to be ultimately successful and be a strong match on the card.
Yeah, no, this is the kind of match that I'm shocked we disagree. I really thought the result was obvious, but now you're talking me into something that maybe was divergent of what I initially thought. But this is the one match that I'm worried about the match quality of, because we could get something pretty abysmal here, given the way the other Team Boku matches have gone. But last time RED, was in a Triangle Gate match, they over-delivered. So I will give them the benefit of the doubt here and say that I'm mildly looking forward to this.
I'm intrigued by this, and some of that is what Insane Bump Diamante will do. Ryosu Shimizu is one of the more like entertaining people just to watch wrestle in general, and then Naruki Doi, and then Kazuma Sakamoto, sneaky great Dragon Gate wrestler. So this is the X factor. Like, this is the match that would take this from a show where it could be a very good show or Dragon Gate show of the year, and it will hinge on this match, if you ask me.
Oh, well said.
And that brings us to the one match I think we both have confirmed that we're in agreement on. This is the Open the Dream Gate Championship match. Eita finally makes his first defense after almost exactly 3 months?
It'll be 3 months in a day, because he won the belt on August 2nd.
All right, so just over 3 months, Eita got Yamato'd, and he's going to have his title match against KZ. And I've already said earlier, I think Eita wins this match, but it'll be interesting what story they try to tell that might dissuade me from being so concrete and thinking Eita wins and loses at Kobe World.
I can't speak into Kobe World and the result there, because I just don't have a feel for it. But I have yet to find a strong argument for KZ winning, other than the fact that I want him to win. I don't know what the game plan is if he takes the belt for KZ, and I especially at that point don't know what the game plan is for Eita. Whereas if Eita retains the belt in his first defense, mind you obviously have Eita versus Yamato, Eita versus Benkei, Eita versus Yoshino, which still can't be ruled out as a possibility. KZ, if he wins, I mean, it's an open book. It's fair game, because he's now at the top of the card, and there's still so many fresh KZ matches that haven't taken place. But I just don't see it happening. I think this is a fascinating match, because, Mike, I mean, the only time we have seen Eita versus KZ is when KZ was Dr. Muscle, and he won the Bravegate belt over Eita on the first show of 2015. So we've never really seen these guys have a singles match. I've loved their chemistry in the tags. I think they work incredibly well together. And I think this is just the type of match that Eita needs one way or another. I think it's a benefit for him to not be in there with Benkei or with Yamato, or someone that works, especially for the Toryumon generation, someone that works a more traditional Dream Gate style of match, where they're going for the epic, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily live up to the degree that they want it to. I think he and KZ, being young, being agile, given their in-ring style and their history, I think they can work a really fast-paced 18 to 26-minute main event, and I have really high expectations for it. I think the result is obvious. I think Eita's winning, but I think this is going to be a special match, and whether I'm awake at this point watching live, or if I've crashed and I have to watch it after the fact, I'm going to stay unspoiled, because there is a magic about watching KZ wrestle, and just the idea that I buy into him, that at any moment he could become the guy. I firmly believe that when I watch him. I firmly buy into the idea that KZ is just a second away from becoming the guy that he wasn't even supposed to be. We can't even say this is his destiny, because he was the beatbox guy in the jumpsuit 5 or 6 years ago, and he's just magically transformed into one of the, 10 best wrestlers in the world in seemingly the blink of an eye. So it's not even KZ's destiny, whereas it felt like it was Eita's destiny to win the belt, to have the big match, and to have a shot to lead the company. This is all extra credit for KZ. These are all bonus points for him. And I think he just relishes in those moments. He shines in these opportunities. And while I think he's losing this match, I think one day we'll come on the show and we'll talk about the Open the Dream Gate champion, KZ. I just don't think it's going to be tonight.
Yeah, he could then rest assured that he'll have the best title match in Eita's title reign, probably, in Pac's title reign, and in Masaki Mochizuki's most recent title reign.
And arguably Doi's title reign.
And Doi's title reign. So 4 out of the last 6 title reigns. Five. It'd be 4 out of the last 5. Sorry, 4 out of the last 5 title reigns. And let me lay some facts here for people.
Lay some facts, Mike. Do it.
They think that KZ has to win here. Do you know offhand how many attempts it took BB Hulk before he won the Dreamgate Championship?
I'm going to throw out a number. I'm going to say 6.
Closer to 9. Here's another fact. How many wrestlers, Dragon Gate wrestlers, in their first title reign had a 0 key title reign, had 0 defenses?
I don't think anyone has.
1, Ryo Saito.
I wasn't sure if it was Saito or Fuji. I couldn't lock in on an answer.
And lastly, how many times has the title belt changed hands at Gate of Destiny or at Edion Arena Osaka 1?
I'm going to say twice, but I'm not confident in that answer.
0.
Wow.
They have never changed the belt at Gate of Destiny.
And they've never had a Gate of Destiny 12 days before a Kobe World as well, which makes it even more unlikely.
Yeah. And they've never changed. All the title changes that happened in Osaka all happened in Osaka Edion 2. Shingo Takagi won the belt back from Jimmy Susumu at Champion Gate. Ricochet won it at Champion Gate. And you just go up and down it. If you're looking at places where they change the title belt, Osaka is not a place where they often change the title belt. So just some food for everyone's thought in this. I think KZ's time might come. I mean, he's same age as Masato Yoshino. Akira Tozawa. And Akira Tozawa was still a couple years away from getting that big win. And I think that's a similar situation now that KZ is in now. It'll come eventually. Might not be a long run, but it's not going to happen right now.
But I think it will happen eventually, which is
right.
a nice future to think about. But I think this is going to be Eita's V1, and I really think this is going to be a great match. All of the big Dragon Gate matches have delivered this year. Doi and KZ, Doi and Susumu, Doi and Eita. I think this is, and the cage match. I'll throw the cage match from Dangerous Gate in there. I think this is going to be another big success for the company.
It is, and it's something that, looking at the show, it's going to hinge on this Triangle Gate Championship match. If they over-deliver this match, this gets a best show of the year contender across the world. I mean, it'll lose to Wrestle Kingdom because it's a show in COVID times, but this could be the best show of the year in wrestling.
And I look forward to it. It's November 3rd. Again, not a ton going on that day other than, the fate of American democracy or whatever, but there's Gate of Destiny. I'm very excited about that.
Yes, and we will be back talking about that. We're going to have to get together, Case, and figure out our schedules for this next few weeks because, boy, is Kobe not making it easy on us. The guys in Kobe, Genki Horiguchi's like, oh, I have to schedule this in a way just to make sure Mike and Case don't have a reliable schedule. We have to throw stuff in the middle of the week. We have to have both the number 2 and number 1 show in our year within a 13-day period. They're not making it easy on us here.
I like a challenge, Mike. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it as well. Again, the show is a 5:30 start time in Japan. That is 3:30 for the East Coast, 8:30 UTC. And it'll have English commentary. I know that it'll have Dragon Gate J, probably Ho-Ho Loon, at least with like how things go and where Loon is. I assume Loon will be on the call as well for new fans as well. And the more I look at this card, the more stoked I get for it. Like this that like we're getting Yamato and Kai and Kaito Ishida and Keisuke Okuda. Like those are two of the hotter feuds in the world right now, and those are not even like those are probably pre-intermission. That's the wild thing. Like those two matches might be like Ishida Okuda might be the go-to intermission match on this show.
It's a beautiful thing to say. I love it. This card is so good. I'm so excited to watch this show.
Yeah. Any big takes you want to hit on before we get out of here?
No, Mike, my life is one big walking take, and I've exhausted my energy previewing this Gate of Destiny card.
Yep, and that'll do it for me as well. You can follow us on Twitter at OpenVoiceGate. Case is at _ in your case. I'm at Fujiheya with 2 eyes like Don Fuji. And that's going to do it for this edition of Open the Voice Gate. We do have a big week coming up, Case, because you know what's coming out this Monday from Open the Voice Gate before the show. Like, you can watch this if you're trying to pull an all-nighter before you watch Gate Destiny. You know it's going to be hitting everyone's podcast feed. It's on Monday.
What's that, Mike?
It is the Open the Voice Gate Rewind and Rewatch, where our dear close friend Alan Farrell joins us to talk about Open the Ultimate Gate 2012.
That show was an adventure. Highly worth listening when that hits your podcast feed. That show was something else.
Yeah, by far the longest. I think it's one of the longest shows we've done in the last 2 years, Case. But it was one of the more fun ones, and that'll be coming your way in your podcast feeds. There'll be a written preview up probably pretty soon after you listen to this episode. As I said, I'm putting together a piece for the website as well, talking about the feud of the year, Keisuke Okuda versus Kaito Ishida. Big time, big content. Open the Voice Gate. That would be our tagline if we were a radio station. Big time, big content.
I hit it there, Mike. Hit the beat. Stop recording. Big time, big content, and let it go.
All right. So for Case, I'm Mike. Big time, big content. Open the Voice Gate.